All right. Well, welcome, and thank you for joining us for 2 ways to harness psychological flexibility to boost resilience. I'm Glen Lubbert, co-founder of Be Your Own Best Coach, where we bring you programs and tools to develop self-leadership skills and habits to accelerate your career and boost your well-being. I will be guiding you through today's Power Pack session with my colleague and fellow co-founder, Dr. Deborah Teplow. Hi, Deborah.
Hello, hello.
So let's jump off slides here, and we're going to jump right into our first exercise. It's a mind-body exercise. So I want you to invite you to sit comfortably with your feet flat on the floor, with your spine nice and long. And I invite you to close your eyes or relax your gaze on a single fixed point. Now bring to mind some thought, a feeling or sensation, or even a memory you're struggling with. Find that something you're struggling with or find uncomfortable or distressing, something you're worrying about or would rather avoid. Something that sometimes you might distract yourself with or withdraw, or you might start rationalizing or intellectualizing, or even using food, alcohol, drugs, or overeating, or even excessive sleeping in pursuit of comfort instead of dealing with this sensation. Now, as you keep that thought, feeling, sensation, or memory in your mind, bring awareness to where the feelings are in your body. Where would you feel them in your body? Now take a few deep breaths. Breathe into and around those feelings in your body. Make room for these feelings. Create some space for them. Simply allow them to be there. Make peace with them. You can also think to yourself, I don't like this feeling, but I have room for it. Or it's unpleasant, but I can accept it. I invite you to take a big deep breath, your biggest deep breath of the day, and sigh as you exhale. And I invite you to open back up your eyes and welcome back. All right. So let's jump back on the slides here for a little orientation of what we're going to be doing today. So today we're going to be talking about psychological flexibility. And what is it and how does it relate to resilience? And then we're going to look at one of the 6 building blocks of psychological flexibility. Next, we'll do a fun Chinese finger trap exercise. And then we're going to dig into a very powerful exercise on willingness that will help you expand, and will also share an algorithm that you can use when you run into challenges that challenge your psychological flexibility. And of course, we're going to end with a Q&A. So Deborah, why don't you get started off. What is psychological flexibility and how does it relate to resilience?
Super. Okay. So, resilience, your ability to respond effectively to adversity is grounded in psychological flexibility. And put simply, psychological flexibility is the ability to take action in alignment with and in service of your core values, despite difficulties or uncomfortable thoughts, feelings, sensations, or even memories. So here's the thing. When hard stuff arises inside of us, we think the cure is to control it, avoid it, or get rid of it. But that's simply not possible because the mind has a mind of its own, and research really shows very strongly that trying to suppress your thoughts and feelings is an exercise in futility. What you can control, however, is your response. So, being able to respond in a way that allows you to take action in the service of your values, even in the presence of pain, is the gift that psychological flexibility gives you. And it allows you to do three critical things. First, be open to the fullness of all the experiences of your life. Second, engage fully in the present here and now moment, running your own show rather than being run by a show defined by your harsh inner critic that goes on in your mind often, or external rules and norms. And then, third, psychological flexibility allows you to take and sustain action that aligns with and serves your deeply held values. And this is even when things get tough, you're still able to take steps toward what really matters to you and to what you value. So, in this webinar, we'll be introducing you to a key building block of psychological flexibility, and you'll explore skills to increase it. You'll walk away with, as Glenn said, a behavioral technique and the algorithm and a mind body exercise. They're all quick and easy to do and fun. So let's move right into that first building block of psychological flexibility, which is acceptance. Acceptance is the ability to open up, make room for, and allow painful or unwanted experiences, thoughts, feelings, or even memories related to goals that you're pursuing to simply be there without predicting or judging or trying to change them. Now, acceptance doesn't mean you like the experience or you even want it. It's simply holding space for it instead of pushing away. And this is important because to be fully aware is to experience a full range of emotions, both painful and joyous. When you try to deny pain, it only leaves you stuck in the very thoughts and feelings you're desperately trying to avoid. And when you shut yourself down to pain, you also shut yourself down to joy. So instead of struggling to not experience unwanted thoughts, feelings, sensations, or memories, or trying desperately to avoid, shut down, or distract from them, acceptance opens the door for living a rich, meaningful life, even with pain. So part of acceptance is also willingness. You choose to willingly do things that matter to you, even if it means that some pain will show up. And that's when we're talking about pain, we're talking about that internal pain that is a result of that harsh inner critic. I can't do that. That's too hard. I'll never be able, it's fear, it's worry, whatever. And so it means that a willingness is being willing to show up even in spite of the pain. And I love a Dolly Parton quote. It sums it up. She says, "The way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you're going to have to put up with the rain." Okay, so let's move into our exercise. And that is our Chinese finger trap. Yeah, we've got it on the screen. How many people have seen it? Just raise your hand, or who's seen the Chinese finger trap, right? Isn't that a favorite?
Thumbs up on your screen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, so we don't have we didn't pass out Chinese finger traps to everybody, but we're going to create it. So, what I want you to do is to put out your left pointer finger and grab your left pointer finger. I'm doing the opposite, so I hope that you can just mirror me and cover your left pointer finger with your right first. All right, got it? Now pull hard with your left hand, but don't let go with your right fingers. Pull, 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 and now release. Push your left pointer finger back. Do it again. Pull hard away. Pull your hands away from each other, and now push them towards each other. Now notice that the tension releases a tiny bit as you push your hands together. It gets tight as you pull away. The tension releases. These fingers relax a tiny bit. And this is an example of what you resist persists. So the more we fight what's going on inside us, the more it persists. So acceptance, that first building block of psychological flexibility, allows you to gently release the struggle so that you can pursue chosen values in spite of the pain, the discomfort, the unpleasantness. Okay. So Glenn, were you going to do anything in chat right now?
Yeah, I just put the exercise in the chat there, and so now we're gonna that we just did. So you have that to share with amongst your friends and colleagues there, and then we're gonna ask a question: am I willing to make room for difficult thoughts and feelings that show up without getting caught up in them or struggle with them and take effective action in order to do what matters deep in the heart? So this is a question to ask yourself. You can put why you're ready to do this or no, and in the chat, or thumbs up or thumbs down in your action there. Are you willing to do this?
And when I'm thinking about this, I often think about what am I procrastinating on? What task is is top of my procrastination list, or what's the thing that I procrastinate most about doing? That really puts me in touch with that kind of inner voice, or that discomfort. Even if it's not a voice, it's just like I can feel it in my body.
And that's often we can feel it in our body when we don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's where yeah. Okay, Deborah.
Okay, so what can you do instead of struggle or engage in avoidance strategies or suffer? So here's a simple exercise that can help. And at the end, we'll give you a simple algorithm so you can use this exercise anytime, anywhere that you might be finding yourself stuck or struggling, having that feeling, or nervous or anxious or whatever. So first of all, and this is an exercise I'm going to walk you through. So get ready. Bring to mind a goal that you're struggling with. It can be an immediate goal, it can be a short term, long term, doesn't matter. A goal that you're struggling with. So you might be telling yourself you don't have time for it, or you don't have the money, the health, the skill, the social support you need. Maybe the goal feels too hard, or you're overwhelmed. You might also be running away from some discomfort that pursuing the goal raises. Maybe it's looking for a job, but you get anxious, or you're fearing have a fear of failure, or other uncomfortable thoughts or feelings, sensations, or even memories. You also might be struggling because you forgot or lost touch with the values that achieving that goal would express. So now ask yourself this question. Am I willing to make room for the difficult thoughts, feelings, sensations, or memories that show up without getting caught up in them or struggling with them, so I can take effective action? Do what matters deep in my heart. Now, if your answer is yes, great, go for it. The catch is that everyone at some point struggles with some kind of self-defeating, doubting, or self-limiting voice in their head. No matter how small or how soft that voice is, it's just part of nature. Difficulty and pain happen. So, if you're having trouble making room for the pain that comes along with achieving your goals, use this 3-step process. We've already touched base with that struggle. And now, here's what you can do to strengthen your resolve and increase that willingness. First of all, ask yourself, does achieving your goal and enjoying the outcome that will come from achieving that goal, does that really and truly matter to you? First thing. And if it does matter, then ask yourself, what is the cost of listening to that inner voice that says, no, don't do it. Or, it's too hard. You're not good enough. You might fail. Or what is the cost of persisting with defensive rationalizations, or engaging in avoidance strategies, or losing touch with the value represented by reaching your goal? So, what's the cost? And third, as we said, pain in life is a given. So, would you rather have the vitality draining pain of staying stuck, or the life enhancing pain of moving forward? So, here's a quick little the three-part algorithm you can use whenever you find yourself struggling with hard stuff. And this will help you build your psychological flexibility and increase resilience. So, number one, does your goal matter? Number two, what's the cost of avoiding the pain? And number three, do you choose to stay stuck, or are you going to move forward?
And I like that, that with this, you're going to have pain regardless. Do you want to have the pain that is vitality draining, or do you want to have the pain that is life enhancing and moving forward?
Yeah.
I think that's really what the key is. So I put the algorithm in the chat here. So I wanted everybody to take a moment, copy and paste that algorithm. Copy it right now. This is the decision algorithm. Put it in a note on your phone, so you have it handy, or in a note in your note taking app, your second brain. Put it in there so you have that handy. This MCC, matter, cost, choice, decision algorithm. Doesn't matter. If it doesn't, move on. You're fine. If it does matter, what's the cost of avoidance? You're going to have pain either way. So you want to choose to stay stuck or move forward? So add that into your note-taking app. We'll do it right now. We want you to walk away with something powerful here, and this is
Or you
it.
could just stick it on the back of an envelope like I did.
Or yeah, put it on, or even on a sticky note. Yeah, even a sticky note, physical sticky note too. Yeah, we're still pro physical.
Yeah, right. And the cool thing is, going through this algorithm, it's like the fish or cut bait, does it matter? And if it doesn't matter, then stop struggling and give it up. Does it really matter that my kitchen floor isn't so clean when guests come over? Am I going to agonize about it, beat myself up? I'm going to say, no, it's not worth it. I don't want the cost of cleaning the kitchen floor, so I'm not going to struggle with it. I'm going to give it up. At the same time, I say, yeah, I really do want the floor clean when people come over. Okay, what's it going to cost? Oh man, well, I'll have to do it, and I hate doing it. Is it worth it? Yes. Okay. Then I'm going to choose. I'm going to do it.
So your next step, I'm going to invite you to do your next step here after this, as we come to the close here, is to look at taking the self-assessment here. We have a resilience self-assessment. Some of you took it before the session. Others have taken it, or you have not taken it yet. But Deborah, can you tell us a little bit about this resilience psychological flexibility self-assessment?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, there's that expression that if it's measured, it's managed. And what we know is, that measurement helps us gauge where we're at and gauge progress. The thing about taking this self-assessment is, first of all, you learn what are the factors involved in psychological flexibility, and you'll be able to assess yourself. Now, the one thing to note is that nobody's perfect. You can have a lot of psychological flexibility in one area and still not have it in another area. There's always room for improvement. And the fact is, we never know when our resilience is going to be really, pushed to the max. We're going to be tested. So it's always a good idea to keep up your chops, using a musician's term, is to keep up your skills and keep building your skills. You will be tested. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of imagination just to reflect on the happenings of the last several years. And so taking the psychological assessment is the first step. So you can gauge where are you at, and then consider how you might want to improve, what areas you might want to work on.
All right, so let's open it up for Q&A. Does anyone have any questions that they want to ask? Pablo.
Thank you, Glenn, and thank you, Deborah. This has been lovely, and I love how in just 30 minutes, so much like value and like nuggets are being offered. So thank you for that. And the question I have for Deborah is, what is it that you want to see more in the world of, and how is what you are presenting to us today a representation of that?
Oh my gosh. Whoa, what a great question. What do I want to see more in the world of? People being able to have that psychological flexibility, to be able to take a breath, make more space for all of the various feelings, sensations, thoughts that come in mind, and to reflect on what we really value and what's important to us, and then to take committed action in the service of those values.
Mm.
It's really
That,
being able to live your values and using the tools of psychological flexibility to build resilience so that you can consistently live your values in face of these challenges that we all face.
well, what's coming to mind is resistance to certain things in life contract, and then what we're learning today opens up space so that we can still bring our values forward in the face of the pressure of life that's being built.
Yeah. Here's a simple example. People, couples or friends or whatever, they can really get into spats and, a lot of conflict, and, who gets to win. And when we think about our values and what we ultimately care about, all human beings want connection. We want to feel like we belong. We want to feel like we're loved, or that we're heard. And so when we remember, hey, I'm having this spat, and we allow ourselves to take a breath and step back and go, number one, does this really matter? What's it costing me to react when, they said, hey, my partner said, hey, I don't like how you, throw your dirty socks on the floor. My defenses come up. But if I can say, well, wait, what's the cost of avoiding that? Hey, are my feelings hurt? Is it whatever? And then say, what am I going to choose? No, I want this relationship. So I'm going to say, well, what do you mean? I'm going to be curious instead of just reactive. I don't know did that make sense?
Yeah, that made a lot of sense. And what's bubbling up for me is how important it is to find tools that create space between stimulus and response so that we can choose intentionally how we want to show up in the world.
Yeah. It sounds like you're quoting Viktor Frankl.
Yes,
right?
that
He
is
talks
accurate.
about,
Yeah,
between
you have good
stimulus and
ears. Yeah,
response. Between stimulus and response is your choice.
Yeah.
And it's about taking the high road, because the high road represents your chosen values. I'm talking about the really transcendent values. I'm not talking about I want the bigger piece of cake now because I'm the birthday girl.
Then that's what this algorithm is to do, is to give you the opportunity to have some space to be able to say, oh, here, this is a way to go about that decision process.
Thank you both.
Any other questions? Does anyone have any other questions? All right, Deborah, do you want to wrap us up with some more wisdom?
Well, I think, there's one of the big reveal that we didn't talk about, which was at the exercise at the beginning. That really was an exercise on acceptance. It's a mind-body acceptance, observing where you might feel that stuck. It could be in your, it could be something you're thinking. It could be in your body. It could be, a sensation or memory that comes up, and to breathe and to just think of expanding, opening, and allowing. That is the first step in building psychological flexibility. So, and I loved how Glenn asked those questions, or talked about it. I don't, was it Glenn? I don't like this feeling, but I have room for it. It's unpleasant, but I can accept it. And I think that was very beautiful. So I'd say go do the psychological flexibility, play with the algorithm what we provided, and we'll be curious next time we meet. I hope we'll meet again, and I'll be curious to hear how things went. And keep an eye out for when things are easier for you to be accepting. Like, oh, that guy cut in front of me, and I realized I didn't flip out where I usually do. So just be on the watch where you do feel more capable of making that space.
Thank you, Deborah. And so as we wrap up, we just have one final question for you is, what's one thing you heard yourself think or say during the last 25, 30 minutes here? One thing you heard yourself think or say. Just enter it in the chat. Forgiveness.
Neurosemantics. Oh, love it. Self-reflection. Yeah. Yeah. Forgiveness. So of yourself or others, because I think it can apply to both.
Yeah, smaller things so I can build up my skills for bigger things. Yeah.
Absolutely. And here's the cool thing, Kevin, thank you both. Here's the cool thing. Your brain doesn't know the difference between big and little. It doesn't. So when you practice this, even on something that seems inconsequential, doesn't matter. You're training your brain.
Well, great. Thank you. I think this is a great place to wrap up. Thank you, everybody, for contributing, and those that were able to join us. Thank you. And we'll get an email out with the full video if you missed part of the session. And for those that weren't able to attend, they'll be able to watch the video too as well. Again, I want to thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your day.